Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I am Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Vanucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week. It's nice to meet you too.
We're making ourselves laugh because we're looking at each other thinking, who's on? I said, Jimmy, I don't know him. I said, I've met him on LinkedIn.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And then potentially in passing in the past, but I said, really, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
which
feel
is kind of fun, which is what normally how him and I do this anyway, which we love because we don't know who we're necessarily talking to. And then the story is a lot more fun to listen to. But
right. Yeah. It's interesting because it's such a small world and like everyone passes through each other. And there are some people 100%. I've seen like probably like 20 times and I never got to like introduce myself because it's always, it's the same events. But Phil, I saw, Kenny, I saw your speech at the breakfast series.
Right.
And I really, really enjoyed it. And I think that's something that a lot of founders overlook about, the cost of actually doing business. And it's like the harsh reality of it, right? And I just thought we need to address that more so like people are more aware. It just makes things so much more transparent. And I found out a lot of I don't want to get too deep into it right away, but I found out a lot of those like problems and stuff along the way. But coincidentally, luckily, I've kind of avoided some of the maybe the higher marketing fees, or I've coincidentally avoided the whole mistake on the cost analysis just by guessing. So yeah, it was really interesting, like about I think it was like an iceberg thing that you showed.
Yeah.
And I really
I just think because most people, Phil and I talk about this ad nauseum, is I don't think a lot of people, I think what happens with most founders is they have a really cool idea that they immediately turn into a business. And it doesn't work that way. An idea is literally that. It's an idea. It's a concept. You have to put things on paper and you have to take the time to sort of map it out. Now, you may not like the map and you may question it and think, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you should try to at least line things up. I always tell people, it's not that you hunt for the negatives. What you try to do is line up all the roadblocks so that you can figure out, do I jump it? Do I go around it? Do I go under it? Like, can I even get through it? Because at least you can see them coming. Like you just said, you got lucky maybe on a few things because you guessed right.
Yeah.
But did you know you were even guessing? Do you know what I mean? Or is the guess because in hindsight or in retrospect, you look back, shit, thank God I guessed that way without even consciously thinking about guessing. Like you thought, oh, this is the way to do it. And you're thinking, oh, thank God I actually did it that way because I could have gone either way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Just plain example is when we first started making our products, and I can talk a little bit more about our products in a bit, but my sister is the one that set the retail price. She said it needs to be this much. I said, no, like it's too expensive. We should try to keep it lower. Turns out, if I went with my direction, I probably would have had to do 4 price raises, and we're the last people to be able to demand that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that's the part, right? It's hard. You could start from a spot and go backwards. I always tell people that. Tell me what you think this is worth in the real world. And then we work backwards and I'll tell you what your cost sort of needs to be. And then you either cry or you say, oh, I can do that. And if you can't, something's got to change. You either got to lower the cost or you got to raise the retail. You pick, or both.
Yeah.
Both is better. You get the middle nice and wide.
It's funny, right? Because it's not funny because it's actually kind of sad, but I've seen like my LinkedIn's been full of folks who have started businesses and shut them down recently because all of them quite commonly have been the same thing, which is I realize that my pricing is too low and then it's a really competitive market and I'm not willing to do, I think I've seen it 3 times this week and we're at Thursday. But 3 times this week, I've seen people say, I've shut down my business because I'm unwilling to work for kind of like razor thin margins, right? And so you kind of go, yeah, it's still like, despite all the work and, all the communication, we still get it, right? People kind of going, wait, I didn't understand what you were talking about. Oh shit, that's what you're talking.
You walk into
God,
it, right?
like,
You're right. You drive into the wall and think, there's the wall.
Yeah. So for the audience, we as always, we come into this hot. We've got Jimmy Kim on, and you've already heard it. Kenny and I know almost nothing about Jimmy, but I'm getting hungry. Hopefully, I've got the site right. But Jimmy is a co-founder.
Yes,
you're a co-founder at Earthling Foods. And there's nothing Kenny and I love more than food. And I've got your website up, and all I've got is this wonderful spinner going on with, a cross between 2 pastries, both of which I actually understand, right? So a dacquoise and a macaron. So it's a Dacaron, which I'll let you explain. Welcome to the podcast. We're excited to have you. The next kind of 45 minutes are yours. Kenny and I will obviously jump in and ask you crazy questions and probably drool over your I'm already drooling over your product.
Phil's already hungry.
We'll get you some.
Yeah.
Phil's
Listen,
already
I
hungry.
mean, look, I'm East Coast, and so it's noon my time, so I'm highly susceptible to food at this time of hour, and then to have not 1 but 2 kind of French pastries rolled out at me is I'm also like, I'm fresh back from France, so I'm eating pastries here I'm in Ottawa right now, but I'm eating pastries in Ottawa and kind of crying because they just don't match up at all. No, not even. I won't get into that, but it's not even close. Like, it's just. Anyway, so I'm going to shut up now. Jimmy, welcome to the show. Would love to hear a little bit more about you and how you got to Earthling Foods.
Give us your journey and tell us what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. And I really appreciate it, and get a chance to tell our story a little bit and tell everyone about how we started and where we're going. So Shay, my sister, and I started Earthling Foods because we used to own a bubble tea / coffee shop.
Oh, cool.
It was called Boba Cabana.
Okay.
It was in Westminster SkyTrain station, and it was a really successful store. And obviously COVID hit, but before COVID hit, we had a really hard time filling up our display shelves with high quality desserts, high quality pastries at that time, especially. The options that we had were like, Costco grade kind of mass produced style of stuff. And what our focus was on at the time was like artisanal, non-artificial bubble tea. And similar to Boba Guys out of San Francisco. So that was kind of our key focus with Boba Cabana. And so, I noticed like it was really hard for me to source pastries that are freezable, freeze and thaw, thaw and serve, also like artisanal, unique, and try to hit all that checkpoints. And I kind of had a hard time sourcing that. So we started just like making our own pastries in-house out of like the 600 square feet facility, and if you can call it a facility, like a cafe with like a small toaster oven. And we've made Hawaiian butter mochi, we've made cookies, we've made everything there. And one thing that really took off was the Hawaiian butter mochi.
I'll bet.
So we kind of started a wholesale business off of that. So that our business was called Coco Mochi. That was like our first wholesale food business.
That's cool.
I was running that out of the cafe. And COVID hit after we landed.
We lost you there. Your connection's crappy.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's right. Right.
That's okay.
It might have been the pandemic, so it might have just been the blip. So
yeah, it's all
you said
COVID
pandemic,
talk.
and then the internet
just
went
went
crazy.
crazy.
So
yeah, so it basically we started the wholesale business during the pandemic with a product called like butter mochi or cocoa mochi is what we called it. And then the pandemic hit, all of our cafe accounts shut down. That was all 4 places that shut down. And so we stopped. We halted everything. I was working full-time as an operations manager for the Sheffield Group, which is like a convenience store chain. And they also had a department where we had a few coffee shops. So I was working like 1 day every 2 weeks with the coffee joints. And that was actually my favorite part of my job. I mean, I like the convenience stores too, but, and there's obviously more money there, more business there at that time. But my passion was with coffee and the cafe scene. So after, like during the pandemic, we noticed that, people were doing a lot of takeouts. People were ordering a lot through Instagram. People were doing a lot of delivery orders. And mochi, the shelf life on mochi is like super short. It gets hard really fast. So we kind of needed a new product. We needed a product that's not, that has a longer shelf life, that can be made in larger batches and stored. This is also because we were working out of a commissary. And then my wife actually tried dacquoise, which is like a butter cream filled almond meringue in South Korea. That's where she's from. She tried it at like this fancy hotel, and they were displaying them like French macarons. And she said, "Hey, this tastes really good. Do you want to try some?" And then I got to try some. She flew over with some of it, and I really liked it. And then I started making it. So I started making like an oval version of it. The one that she brought me was a circular version. And then coincidentally, it was like you can freeze it, you can thaw it, and it's super shelf stable. I mean, in refrigeration. Right. So it had a 14-day refrigeration shelf life. It didn't use any artificial flavors or colors, or I didn't have to. So that was what was really intriguing to me, because I could really attack like clean label baking as well as being able to service wholesale.
So post thawing, you've got 14 days?
So in refrigeration.
Yeah, so post thaw, but refrigerated, you still got 14 days life.
14 days, yes. Yeah. So
that's long.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how to make it longer, Do
you really need to though? I mean, if otherwise I keep it in the freezer, not indefinitely, but I can keep it in the freezer for months. Yes. In theory. It's once I thaw, I've got 14 days. I mean, for cafes, you just thaw what you need for the next day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every day you're talking about a little bit more. That's it.
At very most, you're talking about like 2 days.
Yeah.
Right? Like unthawed, hopefully. And then you're moving the product, right?
So, yeah, ideally, right? Okay, that's interesting. That's pretty cool, because after thawing, I'm thinking, okay, you've probably got 4 or 5 days, which is still not bad.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks, shit, that's okay.
But after 2 weeks, though, you probably won't get away with a clean label, right? Because you'll have to put something to preserve it that kind of messes up your clean label.
Well, the way that our Dacarons are made, it is low moisture. It's very low moisture. The shells on the outside, and it's the shells. The cookie part on the outside actually has a shelf life of 3 months.
Right.
Okay. The filling is the part.
It's the filling the problem.
Has the shorter shelf life.
But it's still not too bad. So.
Yeah, the 2 weeks really is where we've tested it to, and where we feel like it starts to really compromise in quality.
Right.
So it's not like an expiry date either. It's just like
it's the best before.
Best before.
So most cafes, they don't have any issues with that. It's more into groceries where we faced shelf issues. So that's kind of along why we're trying to prolong the shelf life of some of our products that are more geared towards grocery.
Right. But so in grocery right now, you're telling me, so what they obviously buy it frozen, they thaw it and put it.
They
where,
only
like, for the delis, like in
the fridge. So we just partnered up with Save On Foods. So they just started purchasing and selling our products in July, which like we're super happy and obviously excited about. And it's going into their bakery display. However, they're only going to be displaying it for 7 days because it's, first of all, it's out of the package. So it does start to dry out after 7 days.
Right.
So even though, covered it is good for 14 days refrigerated, they're going with a 7-day shelf life, which is more than enough, apparently. So,
well, it should be. I mean, you don't want to be hanging on to longer than that anyway. Like, really, if you thaw it and put it into the bakery thing, 2-3 days max. Otherwise, I don't want. It's not moving. This stuff's got to move.
Yeah.
Like, I want to sell out every day.
Totally.
That would be the ideal. Like, if I could sell out every single day, that would be the ideal.
For sure.
Okay. So you're going to you're in Save On. You're obviously DSD. Like, you're doing direct to store, or are you going through the warehouse?
I'm going through their EB, the warehouse at the moment.
Really?
And how do you? What a shit! I mean, I got a trillion questions on this one. So you're shipping it. Are you shipping it thawed to Langley and then?
No.
So frozen to Langley. They send to the stores frozen.
Yep.
Stores thaw.
Yep. So they're selling it to basically most of the stores that draw from that warehouse. So Urban Fare is also, I confirmed yesterday actually.
Bilo Nesters, I think, are now pulling.
Yeah. So it was great news for us, and they seem to be doing okay. I haven't gotten any reports back, but I'm working with a broker and he's working really hard on it as well. So yeah, it's been a really interesting journey. The first talk to the first PO took probably about 8 months. And then, after this whole thing, it's probably going to take a whole year until we get paid. So it's interesting.
Yeah, you said that part too.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so you're still selling to cafes / restaurants, coffee shops, etc., and you're now dabbling into some retail.
For sure, yeah. And cafes are always been my passion. Coffee shops have always been my passion. We were just at Coffee Fest in Anaheim, trying to get our first U.S. partner for coffee shops, and. So yeah, it's always like coffee is like our bread and butter, like coffee shops, and they've always been really strong, stable accounts for us since the pandemic. We have dozens of coffee shops that we've worked with since we started. So we've been in there for 3+ years, and been working together with some of these cafes, and they've just been strong supporters. And once you win owners over, they're really loyal and they want to work together all the way through.
So two high level, they're not earth-shattering questions. How many shops are you sort of in? Where are you manufacturing this now? How big is the facility? What are you capable of, et cetera? Like, walk me through that side.
Yeah, so I would say we're under 300 stores Canada-wide, and obviously 0 in the United States still. So we're under 300 locations. That includes the Save On and all the locations there, and cafes. And right now we're working out of our facility in Port Coquitlam. So we have a 3,500 square feet facility in Port Coquitlam. We're geared with, it's a gluten-free facility, so everything we make is
even better. Good.
Free.
Wow.
We're not certified yet, but we are eventually working on it. The whole gluten-free side, it's like a dilemma as well, is whether or not we want to market it as a gluten-free product.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are turned off by a gluten-free product. So, healthy.
If it's gluten-free, it's nice. If you can, sure. If not, I'm with you. I kind of don't know. If it's flagged as that, do I walk away from it? Because I think,
I've asked.
Probably not going to taste that great, which is so stupid to say, but I think it's the connotation it holds.
Yeah, it's a stigma there. And I asked hundreds of people the same question. It's like, if I say this is gluten-free, does that deter you from the product? And it's always been 50-50.
Yeah.
So right now we're not gonna spend thousands of dollars getting it gluten-free certified. So we've been just running with it at the moment. And yeah, we just went through a renovation and installed 2 double rack ovens, a walk-in freezer, and all of that fun and expensive stuff.
Expensive.
So now we gotta go and sell the crap out of this thing, right? So it's been an interesting journey. Like, you look at the bills and you're like, and then you look at the POs and you're like, okay, I need like 10 more of these POs.
Yeah, every minute. That's funny. Yeah, that's yeah.
You know, this gluten-free thing, I actually think that the answer is, would you walk away from it? And I think that everyone wants to say, nah, maybe not. But I think the answer is yes. Like, I think unless gluten actually affects you, the answer is yes, I would walk away, because first-gen gluten-free products all taste like cardboard. Sorry if someone who listens to this makes a gluten-free product, but they all taste like cardboard, right? Like,
well,
so
they did for sure. And I don't think we've dropped that feeling.
I don't think
it's like what plant-based is sort of going through. 100% it's gonna be huge. We all know that. We're not stupid.
Yeah.
But if someone says plant-based or vegan, the unfortunate part in CPG, it'd be, geez.
Yeah.
How much shit is in this to make it taste good, or does it actually taste good? Which is so stupid. Again, it's not, but that's not our fault. That's the fault of the original guys out there who came out with product that was quasi-inferior.
Yeah.
Nothing I can do about that. But it does definitely, I think, hold a little bit of a negative connotation to it, unfortunately.
Anyway, I didn't mean to distract. I just feel like...
No, we're curious though, right?
Yeah, and when you've got a high-end product like yours, the last thing you probably need is something that holds you back that way.
Exactly.
Right? Like, you know, that kind of hinders your progress. So,
you know, I guess you want to feel decadent, right? I mean, at the end of the day, your product is meant to give you that. This is a super nice treat. This is what I want to eat.
Yeah.
I don't want any barriers of anybody. You know, if it all comes back and you're telling me it's all great for me and all that, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to walk into this feeling that I am doing something maybe not so right for me.
For sure.
And if I happen to be good at it, then or good for me, that's even better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're slinging, handheld cakes, and it's not like we're not trying to sell a healthy product. We're just trying to sell a clean label, dessert,
right?
Not chock full of palm oil and glucose, and artificial stabilizers and preservatives. And that's always been our goal, and try to achieve that naturally by freezing it. That's always been our forte. So it wasn't like, some people eat this and they're like, yeah, this is like so much healthier than eating a cake. I'm like, well, I mean, calories is calories also. It's not the lowest.
I mean, but you're right. But it's better than the cake. It's better than okay, not to think of this bad. It's not a Twinkie. It's not a Chips Ahoy. Like, it's not loaded with a ton of crap. Yeah. Calorie wise, I hate to tell you guys. Yeah, if you eat a lot of these, it's it's going to do what it's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's healthy in that it doesn't have a lot of junk in it. It's clean.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I was just at a grocery store the other day. I'm not gonna say who, but there were bagels and it had imitation blueberries. And I don't know if you guys have seen this.
Imitation blueberry.
Why would you do an imitation blueberry, especially in our province?
So they're not blueberries. It's blue colored sugar, like sugar balls.
What? Why?
And I think the answer is because it was 6 bagels for like $3.
But that's wrong to start anyway.
I saw that and I was like, this is exactly why, like, I need to be, I'm not saving the bakery industry, but I'm like, I need to make a mark in the clean label baking.
Yeah.
Because, I think you're right.
Like, more and more people are reading labels, I feel like, every day, especially the younger generation. They're reading the labels. They're always seeing those like TikTok and Instagram shorts about how everything's unhealthy for you, right? I'm sure you guys have seen those videos. And
what? No.
You can't eat anything anymore, right?
Yeah.
And so they're being more cautious about. The first thing I read on that bagel was like imitation blueberries. It just blew my mind that I don't
understand that. Like, I honestly, I find that bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, why do that?
Yeah,
well,
I mean, cheap is cost because sugar is cheap.
But it's cost and its shelf, isn't it about shelf
Well,
stability
shelf life
as well, right? Because now you don't have real blueberries that
you got a food coloring and a sugar.
Yeah,
it's not going to
you
spoil,
right? It'll last. It's like a Twinkie, right? It'll last a long time.
I think that was the whole point. Yeah, it's they're trying to they made a really cheap, affordable product, and props to them. It's just it just was an interesting observation from my end.
Well, I think it's because I think it's a sad sort of commentary where it goes, right? You want 6 bagels for $3. I understand that because times are tough. I mean, and people are trying to think, but $3 retail, let's say it's $2 cost of the retail, or $1.25 to make. I mean, what are you making this shit with?
Exactly.
Like, you can't use quality anything. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. I mean, it's going to be just loaded with all the shit that we shouldn't be eating, or we shouldn't be supporting. To your point, back to palm oils or whatever it is, or high fructose corn syrups. Like, we don't need all this shit. Like, I mean, spend the $5 for the bagels and just get a better bagel, or just don't buy the bagels.
So let's get back on track, because I think we could do this all day, but I want to hear more because I'm still drooling over. Tell me about so you've got this business going. Tell me about the actual product, like, because you've got a Dacaron, which I don't think anyone's kind of wrapped their head around yet, right?
I don't know what Dacaron is.
Yeah. So a Dacaron is basically, the technical term for it would be called a dacquoise. And dacquoise is a French almond meringue. It could be any nuts, but it's like a nut meringue. And traditionally, it's made in, they make layer cakes. And then in Fukuoka, Japan, this pastry chef made the modern dacquoise, which is this egg-shaped dacquoise with peanut butter in the center, sandwiched it together like a little cookie sandwich, almost like a cake sandwich. And then people in Asia just took that to another level. They added, buttercream. They added, some places do whipped cream. There's like a bunch of variation out there.
I like the peanut butter start.
Yeah, it's simple, and that's shelf stable too. The peanut butter.
Yeah,
ones. We're working on trying to make a shelf stable version as well, so we can ship without any issues. So our version of it, we take some, it was inspired by the Asian version of a French pastry.
Right.
So it kind of went all the way around, from France to Japan to Korea to Canada, and now we're just, slinging that. So we called it a Dacaron because no one could pronounce dacquoise. I mean, Canadians are very good at pronouncing dacquoise. But I still hear like dacquoise, dacquoise,
that dacky thing.
Yeah, or like daiquiris, and people are like, I can't pronounce it. I'm like, okay, I gotta make it something more relatable, something easier. So my sister and I were just brainstorming. I was like, why don't we just call it Dacarons? Because it has the same utility as macarons, and it's a lot easier to pronounce. And then one thing led to another. We started calling it Dacarons, and it kind of, took off on its own. And so some people call it Dacaroons, like macaroons. I don't care. I mean, Dacarons is Dacarons.
Well, at least it's closer to what you're trying to achieve, right? Which is half the battle.
For sure. Yeah. So that's how we came up with the name. And it's just been a really popular dessert in Asia. Couple cool facts is it was the number 7 searched dessert in Korea. It's the size of the market is 1/3 of the macaron market in Asia, so it's a pretty sizable market there. And then in North America right now, it's like close to 0, which is like us. So it's it's nothing in North America.
No, said differently.
And we'll be right back. All right. This episode is brought to you by CHFA. Thank you to our sponsors.
the Canadian Health Food Association. There's a show coming up, CHFA Now. It's going to be in Toronto. It'll be Thursday, September 21st. And then
through Sunday the 24th.
Through Sunday the 24th. And this show, like, it used to be just, like it was never just a trade show, but lots of people came to walk the show and just see new brands. But the show has just taken on a whole life of its own. Kenny and I were just looking at the number of things, right, that you can and should do at the show. There's stuff going from Thursday the 21st all the way through to Sunday. There's some really big things. The regulatory group is going to go through all the NHP stuff that you've been hearing about: cost recovery, compliance verification, labeling updates, plastic sustainability stuff, all of that stuff. They're going to be going through on the Thursday.
That one, Phil, though, that's for CHFA members and associates only. But
correct.
it also it's probably another reason why you should really consider becoming a CHFA member anyway.
Yeah. If there's ever a year that you wanted to do it, this is probably the year, because of all these things and the amount of coverage that CHFA has had on this stuff. But then on the Friday too, right? There's Canada US organic equivalency. There's Think Like a Futurist, so how to turn trends into tangible results, which is super cool. There's gene editing for genetic modification, in case you're worried about that. If you want to think about collagen, there's a session on collagen. There's gut health, and the role that the gut plays in immune and mental health. Gosh, there's so many things.
There's tons of stuff. I guess what it is, see, to me, if I look at it from what I was when I was a buyer,
yeah.
When I used to do this show, it really was focusing on the Saturday, Sunday, and it was really about doing this show, right? When I left buying and started going into the other side, which was all sides, it really became much more important to actually know what was going on the like, for example, on this one, on the Thursday, Friday, because the amount of quality lecture you get these days is unbelievable. The show is always going to be the show, and it's always the fun part. And you should be going to CHFA regardless, just because the networking, the fact they advocate, the fact that there's just so much cool stuff always happening. But if you really want to take full advantage of the show, you really need to participate. Thursday would be good this year because what the topic is, which is talking all about regulatory, which is just a nightmare this year. And if you really can get up to date on that, get it. But the beauty now is the Friday is packed.
Yeah, there's so
many things to learn and so many things to see. Like, I just think the old days, if you're still of the mindset that the show is just the trade show, you've really got to get off that one. There is so much more that's there. Even at the end of the day, you got CHFA Trends, which last year was Lindsay and Aaron talking about some research they did and all the things they're learning. And then Launchpad follows that, which is really cool. So if you're a small brand and you're not part of Launchpad, you'll see maybe what buyers or what you'll typically get asked or graded on when you're presenting. And then the social mixer for the member mixer for the social aspect of the evening.
There's
if you're a member and associate, you get to hang out together, and it's a great way to catch up with people.
There's also Incubator Alley, which is where you get to see all the new brands as well. And so that's a really big thing. I know for retailers, that's a really hot part, but I think for everybody to see what new up and coming brands are, what the new ideas are.
If you want to stay atop the natural health industry in Canada, you got to do the two. You got to do this one and you got to do the other. Really and truly, I would really recommend for people to go through. You should really consider becoming members of the CHFA anyway. Like, you really should. You really need to be part of these communities that are out there defending and sticking up for your businesses, because I'll tell you right now, it doesn't look like government's doing a lot to help us. So get on board.
Make sure. So September 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, CHFA weekend.
Yep.
It's here in Toronto. Make sure you sign up. So the link will be in the show notes below.
And we'll see you at the show.
chfanow.ca. Make sure you go and sign up, become a member, sign up for the show. Really important to do.
And find us there. We'll see you at the show.
Yeah, we'll definitely see you at the show.
And now back to the podcast.
You own a large chunk of the market share in Canada.
Yes.
I think
you are the market leader.
You're the market leader.
that's the way you kind of, you know.
Yeah, so that's how I would market it.
Yeah.
It's,
we like this. Yeah,
that's always been our goal too, is to really like spearhead and then be the first to market with this product at a commercial scale. So we are actually, it's been taking forever, and but we've made our own automation machinery, and we custom made the whole thing, and it's on a ship, and it's coming to Canada. So it should be here in 4 weeks. So really excited for that. That will help us be able to make more of this product. It's a very difficult product to produce. Hence, even in Asia, no one's doing it at a commercial scale. Starbucks had it, but they were using they were making it like a macaron, but calling it dacquoise. So it didn't really make any sense. So our version of it is like the original dacquoise, but we're trying to do it at a commercial scale. Yeah.
I really like it. Now I've popped on the webpage too, because I may as well be distracted like the two of you.
I'm not distracted. I'm all here now. Like,
you're here, but I can see your eyes moving. You're already eating.
I'm eating. I've picked out flavors I want. Like,
I love it. I really like it. You know what I like too? I like it's so. Like you know what? I've never wanted to get the macaroon. I think they're small. I think they're cute, and they look great in stores. I don't really care. I kind of like this because I like the shape. I like the size.
Right.
I like the look of it. Look at it. Like if you look from a top, it almost looks like.
Yeah, the texture looks pretty.
It's different, right? It doesn't it? Like it looks interesting.
It's very like if you're a texture person, you'll really like this dessert because it's got a crisp on the outside, it's soft in the middle, and it's slightly chewy when you start eating it. We replaced the cake flour with glutinous rice flour, which gives it that little. That's kind of like the mochi.
It's got the mochi bit to it.
Yeah, so it's slightly got a unique texture to it. So a lot of people, when they try it for the first time, they're surprised with the texture, and generally they like it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. It's interesting because what's really neat about this is how you've really kind of like picked out some key trends from Asia and brought them over. I think that's really cool to me too.
I think it's really smart too, right? like really smart.
From your bubble tea experience, right? Like everybody's into bubble tea now, but you're on it really before it became kind of this crazy thing. And then being able to spot that that there are gaps in coffee shops, and what do you do to fill those gaps, right? Because like coffee shops are these tough places, right? Is if you're a bakery, like if you're a bakery, you fill in coffee because that makes sense, right? But then coffee shops aren't bakeries, so what the hell do you put? Usually you fill it with crappy stuff and then hope people buy a cookie or two, an overpriced cookie, and then so it's neat that you've brought this over, and clearly like it's working for you. Are there any surprises in the way it's come over? Like have the responses been generally good?
What's the reception been? The reception good?
The reception has been very good. I think the hardest part has been the educational process of trying to educate the customers on what this is and getting them to commit to that first purchase. That's been really hard. So, going into grocery has been a really big marketing boost for us because it sort of markets itself in groceries. And we've just recently did a partnership with Blends Coffee. So we have our Dacarons in all the Blends locations. So that was a big win for us. But the reception has been kind of tough on certain ends, with price point, with display. Display is also because there aren't too many model displays out there for our products, and it's really hard to find packaging for our products. So those have been kind of our challenges, is how to display them so they're like there's no data on how to display it so that's most optimized either. So we sort of had to do our own research, sort of did our own task.
You might want to supply them with something. I'm trying to think of the same thing because like go back to where sort of even Phil started. Like the beauty of the challenge with small independent shops, like forget blends, but like smaller independents, it is really tough to find pastries, right? They're either going to come. You're either going to have to buy from one of the major distributors, and it's going to come in plastic. You know, like the muffin and shit, and it really not appealing. Either that or they're loaded with crap. And that's because they have to sit probably for a couple of days. And really on something, unfortunately, some of these products, it's just getting the staff to understand that every night you have to just go take a few out, thaw them, present them the next day, and repeat every day. So you're always kind of keeping them fresh and turning. So like you've got a few built-in educational things as well. But my biggest thing would be is where you started is the display. So because if you leave it up to, and no, I'm not going to pick on young people, but people who don't have the vision, like you know, you got the 17 or 18-year-old who's just working the weekends, you know, has the key to the store because that's what we do today. But you know, what do they throw it on? A plate, a piece of paper? Like it's trying to get them to, like you almost need your own vessel
properly.
You know, that's branded, etc. And they're lined up nice. So I know exactly what I'm getting. Right. And it's my vessel. So it's branded for me. So you can't put Cartems in it. You can't do other things. Right. It's sort of that play.
Exactly. You know, it's hard to go to 300 stores and try to convince every single manager. And even if you do convince the manager, the person next shift just completely.
That's the problem. It's the downhill dissemination of the information is where it typically falls apart. But there might, you know, there's a way to do it. It's just like you said, it's a lot of work, but I don't think you have any choice. And I don't think it matters. I think it's just built in. That's just part of it.
And you know, like being brutally honest, like I think at this point sometimes, because we have a team of less than 10 people in our company, so we're pretty stretched thin on what we're able to do, and sometimes we do have to kind of throw something on the wall and see if it sticks or not. And
part of the game sometimes.
And we can't make every store a success, but the ones that are successful, we really try to push them, support them as much as we can. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and that's the game we play.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
I really like it.
Yeah, I think that's what every small business goes through. I mean, honestly, big businesses go through that, right? Is you do what you can do, right? So, you know, said differently, like we're gonna do what we can. You're gonna do what you can do. Like, what else are you gonna do about it, right? Like, it's just there's no other way around that, right?
Well, I'm just trying to think. Like when I had the coffee shop, is I know where the roadblocks were from a staff perspective, and trying to get them to understand something that this is really not complicated. First, it's not rocket science. Put in freezer when receiving, take out few, thaw in fridge, put in display, sell, repeat. That's it. No, we're not building a bomb. We're not building a building. That's it. Like there's 4 steps and they all just kind of work together. Super easy. And yet this can go so freaking sideways.
I just, sometimes it's easier to say, just treat them like French macarons. And then they're like, oh, okay, sounds good. I'll just take them out for frozen, and that's generally tends to work. But it's also the visual merchandising and
all that. To me, that's where it needs to. I think there's things you can do on that side too that are not massively costly.
I'm like, we tried to make acrylic displays similar to macarons, and they're pretty costly.
They're costly.
Really costly. And then so that's one part, and then delivering and then trying to implement it in the store is a whole other costly part too, right? So it's been quite interesting. The reception from customers has always been like 99% positive. You know, some people are saying, oh, it's too it's not punchy enough in terms of flavor, but you know, for example, our strawberry, if you look at it, it's not like that bright red color because we're not using anything artificial.
Well, you can put a food dye in, right?
Yeah, but we don't want to.
I guess so. I mean, that's pretty try to tell people. I can make it red like everybody else's. If you want to read, if you want to eat red dye 5 or whatever the hell the number is, why would you want that, right?
Yeah, so that's sort of getting people to understand that we're trying to do clean label baking. That's also been another educational process besides the actual product itself, because a product like you can look up that like dacquoise in Asian countries. Some of them are like purple, like yellow, like super cool colors, and that's great what they're doing. It's just not what our goals have always been.
Right.
So we're just kind of doubling down on what we're good at.
And do you sell out of the warehouse or out of the facility?
Yeah, we do. We just restarted it like 5 days ago because people have been like knocking on our doors and like, hey, do you guys? We used to have a cafe front here, and people would come and pick up, and we'd sell coffee, and we had to close it down to make more space for renovation. Right. But people still come, so we put a doorbell on the outside and a menu, so they can just say, hey, I want a 12-piece pack of Dacarons, and we'll just pack that up fresh and then hand it off to the customer. Mm-hmm.
And you're just off the pit bridge. Yeah,
we're behind the H Mart, and the H Mart is across from the Costco in Port Coquitlam.
You're okay for your Costco. You know why? I'm as soon as we hang up here, I'm heading out to Pitt Meadows.
Oh,
for probably an hour and a half. So I'm actually thinking of stopping to see you in about 3 hours.
Yeah, you need to go in another week because his stuff is good for 14 days. So it's not going to make it out here if you pick it up now.
That's really not my problem.
I see you in 3 weeks.
I don't see how this became my problem.
I see this as a problem. So
I don't see it as anything.
You need to postpone your trip to Canada or go back and see Jimmy in another week.
Well,
and then make sure that you
be able to do something like that.
Not mice. Like you go in another week. Jimmy, just don't let him in for another week or so. Okay, so he's got to be out here. You know
what though? Listen, before you get too far ahead,
September. So
there was a chance you might have gotten some of these. It's really running out of chances in this moment. Like the window's getting really tight. I can buy stuff and freeze them.
Don't you threaten me?
I've
already checked the site. I can order this stuff. Jimmy, I'll talk to you in a little while. I'm going to come out and see you. I think I've got appointments back to back. I might pop in for a minute just to see you. I really, seriously.
Yeah, for sure. You're both welcome here anytime. Yeah.
So let me do this so in terms of like, what are you capable? Because one thing that kind of scares me is when I hear people say, I went to the States, I'm looking for someone in the US. Always freaks me out. Because I think the implications, it's 10 times the market in terms of people, but probably 30 times in volume. So do you know what I mean? So it depending how you're feeling right now, if you got up to 500 stores and you think you'd be pushing the limits, you could do that overnight in the States, which means you'd be blowing out the doors.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, the States is always one of those things that has to be taken very, very systematically thought out, because you get something going, and before you know it, like it's like, holy shit, like what did we do?
I'm aiming for the good holy shit moments, and true. I've definitely heard this a lot and about going to the United States, different animal, different volumes, and that actually really excited us because especially at the show, and in terms of capacity, like obviously I can show you a bit more when you come by later,
right?
But, we're definitely ready for it. We're definitely been ready for it for a while, but we just been really trying to get our ducks in a row before we shoot our shot with California, which is what we're trying to do first. And then it's the Pacific Northwest afterwards that we're really trying to aim for. And we're just really excited to bring this to that, the West Coast, because we think it really resonates with the West Coast market. It's with the automation that we're implementing, and which is gonna be in about, once it's done, it'll probably be like October to November.
Yeah, 6-8 weeks out.
Yeah, and that's sort of what we're projecting to do, is we're trying to put our sent our first shipment out in the winter times. And yeah, in terms of capacity, like we were able to make like 24,000 of these a day with what we have manually. And then,
wow.
But this is like if I'm running triple shifts with, you know.
Okay, still okay, but even if you're not, I mean, so you could do 10,000 a day on like on regular shifts. Come on.
Yeah. So
that's ridiculous. That's a big number.
So yesterday I made 10,000 with 6 people, and it was like a 16-hour shift.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the day before yesterday. Yeah, and that was
so you have scalability here for sure.
Yeah, we had to haul ass, and it was a lot of work, but we got it done. And yeah, it's the ovens really help. We have the double rack ovens. And then we have like custom tools that we currently use already. And then it's just the automation that's going to bring us to the next level. The last bottleneck really is cold storage for us. And it's trying to get cold storage space, because we can only store like, I want to say like 9 pallets at this moment.
Right.
But I have a good friend who has a large cold storage in Coquitlam, and he's willing to lease some space there for me. So I'm hoping I can rely on that before those big orders come in.
As long as you pay him. I mean, it depends what he's going to charge you. I mean, if he charges $30-$40 a month per pallet,
yeah,
I mean, it's doable. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't need 3,000 square feet of freezer space. You're probably looking for what, 15, 20, 30 locations just to drop pallets, right? For the short term.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so we have scalability and the ability to make a lot. The hard part is the distribution.
So how do you manage the distribution now? Because it was be my other question. Are you doing most of it yourself, like DSD, like we talked about? Or are you having an actual distributor, or are you just having people pick up and send to said location?
Yeah. So like being a past like cafe owner, it was really hard for me to work with distributors. So I kind of knew that challenge going in with a lot of mom and pop shops. So we still do our own deliveries for all the mom and pop independents and coffee shops. So, and I really love it. It is when you're driving, like 20 places a day selling just boxes. It's pretty challenging, but I still love it. I get free coffees, and it's quite fun.
That's a good way to see what's going on too, right?
Yeah.
It is. And but in terms of the stores, a lot of them go through a DC, like either they're owned by the company. So like Overweighty, they have their own DC. We work with TNT, and they have their own DC.
Yeah.
But we also work with really great distributor called Lecker Foods, and as well as we do some food service business with Cisco, and they've been, they initiated like a local program, I think a year and a half ago, and we were able to work with them. So that was really good opportunity. But, trying to get sales through Cisco is another whole.
You need food service reps to get the listing
the process.
So the Cisco decides, we can do this.
Yeah.
So basically you have to do all the work.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then, the hard part is we don't know who their customers are. And so it's like, I would love to go out and pitch this product, but I don't know who the customers are. So I'm like knocking on doors like, do you buy from Cisco? That's kind of been a challenge. But even with Blends Coffee, it technically should have been, through Cisco, but they
go through Sevco.
Yes. Yeah. So we work with Sevco with Blends, but that's how we got our introduction to Blends, is actually through Cisco. So that was a quite interesting situation. So it was a bit edgy, and I had to be upfront with everybody and honest about what's going on, and it worked out. And so we're working with Sevco, which are awesome, amazing people there too. Yeah. So I think that's it. Yeah, it's Lecker Distribution, Sevco, and Cisco is what are the distributors we work with. Yeah, we don't.
You said you have a broker as well. You're saying?
Yeah,
I do. Yeah. So his name is Adam Hartzman. You won't find him on LinkedIn. I just bugged him about it yesterday to make one, but he's an amazing broker out of the East. So I don't want to get too into detail, but long story short, like it was like they don't charge a retainer, which is like a big deal for us, because for us that meant like he really believed in our product. He really believes in the product itself and his ability to sell it. So it was a great opportunity for us, and he got into a lot of doors for us too. So including
Adam Hartzman, get on LinkedIn.
Yeah, no shit, man. Seriously, 2023, buddy. Let's go.
All these podcast people, they're gonna search for Adam Hartzman and not be able to find you.
Exactly.
So
then they're gonna come to us, and we don't know Adam because he's not only.
No, that's good for Jimmy, because you won't do any other. You won't.
It'd be all Jimmy, 247.
It'd be all Jimmy. So yeah.
I'm a bit of an open book. Like people like ask me stuff all the time, and I just tell them everything. I'm like, what am I gonna do with it? It's like, I've come across people where I ask people stuff and they're really hesitant to tell me.
Nobody likes to share.
Yeah,
not nobody. It just seems this tendency that somehow you're going to use this nefariously. To do what? I don't know, but whatever.
Lots of people know things, but the problem is not knowing; it's the doing, right? Like, it's not that many doers, right? So,
okay, I say like the industry is hard enough with all the information, right? So like,
it's near impossible without.
Yeah, and like so, I still have a lot of people who just ask me stuff. It's like, hey, like, what should I do with this? And I just like, oh, this is my thought. These are my thoughts, and this is what the knowledge I've accumulated in the short 3 years in this industry. But here it is, right? So it's always been a bit interesting, and it's really transparent too. Like when you talk to someone, they're like holding back information. You're like, okay, well, I see how it is.
Yeah. I see you.
I get it. There's a trust issue somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I really like this, man. Like I didn't know what we were in for with you today. I really like this. I really like.
I don't like it because you're all the way over there. I'm all the way over here, and all I'm doing is looking.
There's a good chance I
see
you today. That's what's killing him, which means I'm actually going to sample today.
You know what? Today's the best day because it's our R&D day, so we're making.
Of course, it is.
Different flavors.
It's the best day, Phil. You're missing the best day.
Screw you, Kenny.
We're doing our
wait. So this is at TNT. So is this at TNT out here, like out east, or just out west?
No, I've been trying. I've been knocking on their doors, but TNT.
It's expensive to ship cold storage across the country too.
Yeah.
Listen, TNT, if you're listening to this podcast, damn it, hurry up and get on.
Get your shit together. Let's go. You're part of Loblaws. Move it, baby.
Chang wants some of this stuff out here. Yeah. East Coast, bring it on.
We want to get into the H Marts too, because we also work with H Marts.
Yeah. I like that as well. Yeah, bring it on. You
Very
tell me who
boy.
I need to call. I'll just call people over here and keep asking.
They'll just pester them until they.
You know what? That's what I'll do is, when I do my shopping at TNT, I'll just start asking.
Where is it? How come I don't see it? I hear it's in the west. Why is it not here?
And I saw this. Where is it? Where is it? And then hopefully about a month from now, you'll get a phone call.
That would mean
people keep asking for it. Is yeah.
Those are the best type of help. It is.
Can't hurt.
Yeah.
Can't hurt.
Yeah.
I do want to quickly say we got nominated for Best in Brand and Best in Emerging Business. So if you're listening to this on September 5th, you can vote for us. I'll send you a box of cookies.
Well, that's fantastic.
Wait. So where are you nominated? Yeah.
Oh, yes. Sorry. So BCFB. They're doing the awards, and the voting starts on September 5th.
September 5th.
And we were really.
I'm one of the judges, eh?
Oh.
Are you coming out to do the pitch in Richmond on the 13th? That
disqualifies you. Now he can't give you He can't give you anything when you come.
I didn't say give. I said I was coming out to buy. I can do whatever I damn well please if I have a credit card.
No, he's gonna be like, sorry, no, you can't. You can't have any actually.
Jimmy, are you out in Richmond on the 13th to pitch to the group?
Is that the? I don't think so. No.
Where are we at? Premier Brands or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm excited. That's good. Bottom line is good, and you know what? Because we like helping out James and Elisa and Sumner with their projects. Guys. So ultimately, we were going to probably reach out to you even to talk about it, to give it a boost prior to this. So like your timing is like, it's stupid. Great. Really, it's awesome.
It's great.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
it's awesome.
We need every help we can get. Yeah,
we all do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good job, man.
Good for you, buddy.
Okay, so if people want to find you, and then also if they want to be able to buy some product, where are the best places to find you, and then to go to shop for the product?
So earthingfoods.ca is our Canadian website, and right now we ship across Canada. So we do 1-day shipping only. So it's get your product right away. It's fresh and it's not compromised. And then we are planning to open up our website for the United States, but that one's going to be called dacarons.com with an S at the end.
Cool.
Okay.
And that's probably going to launch early next year for US shipping.
Okay. Awesome. And then is LinkedIn the best place to find you if they want to find you, or do they go to the website and kind of ping the website? You guys are a little team, right? So
I love LinkedIn because it's so direct, right? And then I've connected with a lot of amazing people there, and people can reach out to me through LinkedIn for anything, and then we can take it to emails and on and on.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, awesome.
Very, very cool, buddy boy.
Yeah,
very, very
thank
cool.
you for taking the time to come on with us. This is very, very cool.
Thanks for reaching out on LinkedIn and pushing it, because seriously, I mean,
we love it. Really.
No, what the hell, right? I mean, we love local. We love food. Yeah. First off, food is like,
oh my gosh,
that's a problem for us, big time.
It's a real problem.
But I love the local, and I love the fact you guys are trying something cool. The product looks fabulous on web. I can't seriously. I'm going if this meeting because I've got back to back. If worst comes to worst, I might do my meeting after you in the car on Google Meet as I'm driving because I'd rather make sure I'd get a chance to see you. So I'm going to do. I promise I see you today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and thank you for having me on this podcast. And got and designed our new logo. So he's our designer, and he's been doing amazing work for us. So yeah, but thank you so much for having me on, and I'm really happy I reached out and talked to you.
Me too.
We are too. Yeah,
no, me too.
Definitely.
Honestly, I'm really excited for you guys. I think you got a cool thing going.
Yeah.
And I look forward to meeting you in about 2.5 hours, and trying some food, Phil.
All right. Thanks, Jimmy.
Jimmy, take care, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Phil, you hang on. Jimmy, you go. I'll see you in a little while.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Ciao, man. Bye.
Oh, it makes me hungry.
You know what it is? I tell you, you know what? So you look. I mean, I did to you, right? I mean, then I got hungry because I had to look. But they're $3.95, but they look like they're 2.5 times the size of a macaroon.
Yeah.
Like they're finger size. Like these are not.
Yeah, these are not little things.
They're not. Yeah. And if they're well made like that, I mean, it's at a retail. That's not a brutal retail.
No. Well, listen, you pay a $1.29, $1.39 for a mass-produced chocolate bar.
Even more than that.
So go figure. Do you know what I mean?
What are you going to pay for? What are you going to pay for a mass-produced macaroon in a coffee shop?
If you go to
$3,
Tim Hortons and you buy a donut, like a donut is not cheap anymore either, right? But you're getting
and it's made with nothing.
So, I know.
Like if you went to bakery,
really
Phil, if you want 2 macaroons, which is about what the size of this is, what would 2 macaroons cost you in a coffee shop?
$7-8.
Oh, that high?
Something like that.
Okay, like $4 or $5.
I don't know. Actually, I don't really know. I've never really bought a macaroon, but I think it's great value, and I also think they look really well done. So, and then I think what's cool about him is, again, like just nonchalant, but went to Asia, looked around, found something, and then doesn't really realize the talent that he has here, right? Like
I totally agree with you. Like he's so underplayed that because he's obviously a pretty modest young man. I'm thinking, buddy, you skimmed over.
No idea. Yeah,
Yeah,
no
you
idea.
skimmed over that one.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening. Yeah,
we
honestly,
hope you're
that was
all
really
hungry
good.
too. And then we will talk to you soon.
Sounds good.